Welcome back to the newsroom here at France 24. It's time for Media Watch with James Creedon, who's here. Good to see
evening,
you, James. Now, it's France's highest accolade, isn't it? The Legion of Honour.
That's
Many
right.
people would be delighted to be awarded the Legion of Honour,
right.
but not one French comedian. He said, non merci.
That's right, Jacques Tardy. Now, he's best known for his comic books, which are a big thing in France. They like their sort of adult comic books, which
Bande
makes...
dessinée.
I don't mean that sort of adult comic, but I mean, you know what I mean.
Grown up, yeah, all right.
Anyway, before I dig myself into a hole, he has been described as one of the most original and creative comic book artists. And he basically found out that he'd been awarded the Legion of Honour via the press last night.
Right.
He was horrified and disgusted at this accolade.
Really?
And very promptly said that he didn't want it. Thank you very much.
Well, it's not good for his image, possibly, is it?
Well, that's it, you see, because he's built his image
It's
on
supposed to
being
be
a bit
subversive,
That's
right.
it, a bit anti-establishment. So you don't want, the nation's or the state's top award.
Yeah.
And let's take a look on the computer. This is a photo of him here with one of his comic books. He's done a lot of comic books about World War I, World War II, the Paris Commune, stuff like that. Often very critical of institutions in the state.
Very satirical, right.
That's it. I don't want your honorary medal, he replied. My honour is better off without it.
Ooh, touché.
And he said it's not, on n'est pas forcément content d'être reconnu par des gens qu'on n'estime pas. It's not really that good to be recognised by people who you don't really have much
So he's
regard
not a
for.
fan of François Hollande, or just not a fan of the
Well, you
government?
see, this is it, right? Because I initially thought,
general.
it must be that he isn't a fan of Hollande. But here, as this headline says on Rue 89, he just wants to stay a free man. It's about freedom of conscience. Now, look what he did when Nicolas Sarkozy was elected in 2007. There were various cartoons that he actually did on a napkin while having dinner with people at Rue 89.
Yeah.
And this is the French Republic, RF, being flushed down the loo
down
by
the
the
lavatory.
election of Sarkozy. And there he is as a little,
Sarkozy is
as
a
a
little
little devil. A little devil. So he wasn't a fan of Sarko either.
very
Sarko
good though, isn't he?
or Hollande. He is. He's a good cartoonist. And
Well, you get this in the UK, don't you, with the honours list? You
that's
get
it.
rock stars from the 60s and 70s trying to keep it cool.
that's it. And it sparked a whole
Some
debate.
of them love it, though, really.
I think, the one debate that's interesting is journalists accepting the Legion of Honour. And that has happened quite a lot. And one guy by the name of Edoui Plenel, who writes for Mediapart, he was very critical about this earlier this year when 2 of the 4 journalists who interviewed Nicolas Sarkozy in this big televised interview had received the Legion of Honour. And he said no journalist really should accept an accolade like that
Yes,
from the
that's
state.
very strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's because, freedom of speech and your I suppose your
That is a bit
distance from the
unusual,
powers
yeah.
that be.
Because then you're not going to ask the toughest questions when you've just been given a rather nice
That's
honour,
it.
are you?
That's it, a nice little brooch or necklace or whatever it is. I don't know.
All right,
It's
okay.
a medal.
Yes, all right. Now let's move on to the latest tweets. Now, France has been credited for really cracking down on hate speech, which unfortunately is sometimes prevalent on Twitter. Tell us what
right.
they've done to stop this from happening.
All right. Well, you'll remember these hashtags back in December, Laura. Un bon juif, a good Jew. And a lot of the time, the answer was,
Pictures from concentration camps,
That's it.
that kind of thing.
Awful. Another one more recent again. If my son was gay, and another one here. If my daughter brought home a black man,
Oh,
and
awful.
basically they were hashtags that gathered together homophobic, racist, anti-Semitic tweets. And as it's a very interesting debate today in The Guardian about whether or not this sort of behaviour should be cracked down on. Now, last week, this Najat, if I could remember her name, she is the French women's rights minister.
Najat Vallaud-Belkacem.
Vallaud-Belkacem. Now, she said that on Twitter should not become an instrument for hate speech, that Twitter should apply the
Well,
laws
it's
in
against
each
the law,
country.
isn't it? Right.
That's right. Whether or not you say it on Twitter or anywhere else, it is illegal in France to hate speech is illegal, whether it be homophobic, anti-Semitic, racist, etc., sexist. So what her argument is that Twitter should simply help the government to apply the laws that already exist
Right.
in cracking down on these sort of remarks. Of course, Twitter is
But then,
difficult
then
to...
the question is, I mean, how long are law enforcement agencies supposed to spend policing Twitter when
That's
they
it.
could be out there
When you have
solving real
thousands of
crimes?
tweets every second, how are you meant to actually
Exactly.
enforce these laws? I think that's the key point. But what's interesting here is there was a debate today on The Guardian about this. Jason Farago, who is an American journalist, he said, look, in the US, it's in our DNA. Freedom of speech should always be protected. But actually, these are laws that were developed in the 18th century. We're no longer in, what would you say, polite salons of enlightenment. Here you're dealing with smartphones, not, the Gutenberg press.
Yeah.
You have to evolve the way laws are designed to deal with these sort of issues. Now, the response to that was by Glenn Glenn Greenwald, who said, hold on a minute, this is extremely dangerous. Any limits to the freedom of speech are highly dangerous. How can a journalist be pro-censorship? This is critical of Farrago.
Yeah.
And where does the definition of hate speech stop? So that debate coming back again today, and where with some saying France is leading the way, others saying it's very dangerous to have any limitations on free speech at all.
Okay, all right. Well, let's move on to this. I really want to hear about this. The worst New Year's Eve ever for one French woman. What on earth happened to her?
Poor woman, right? She went into the shop, a supermarket. I think I have a photo of it here.
Oh, I can imagine.
Up in the north of, there's no photo of her. She's hiding. She's too embarrassed. Now, she went into the loo. She's a 73-year-old, and she had a bit of a weakness. She passed out. The poor thing.
Oh dear.
And you'd think they would have cleaned the toilets at the end of the working day, but no one went in and checked.
Oh, everyone wanted to get off to their New Year's parties.
And she got locked in there all night long. And,
she got loads of free chocolate.
She could have eaten loads of foie gras
Yeah.
and drunk champagne and the chocolates and the whole thing. But she didn't do anything of that sort.
What did she
Now,
do?
she could have been stuck there all day the 1st of January because that's a bank holiday. But luckily, a guy came back to check the store and he released her and she was taken off to hospital. But it was seen
poor
as
dear.
people are kind of saying, can we laugh at this?
But don't they put those announcements out? We're about to close the store. Get
but she had
out.
passed out the thing.
Oh,
That's
sorry,
it.
she was out of it, wasn't she? Oh dear.
So a very
Well, Happy
bad
New
New Year's
Year.
for that 73-year-old.
Not a
from the north
great
of
way to
France.
start the year, is it? All right, James, thank
Hopefully
you very
it'll
much.
look up from here on out.
Absolutely, couldn't get any worse, could it? Thanks very much. James Creedon then with
Sorry.
Media Watch. Time now for our daily dose of web news. And we've got a New Year's Eve wedding for the Playboy magazine founder Hugh Hefner. First, though, to Japan, where a new government led by Prime Minister Shinzo Abe could spell trouble for anti-nuclear activists. Take a look.